Hi everyone, and welcome to my Let's Play of Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War. I'm going to be going through this game with some other minor conditions, but let's get started. Here we see the Genealogy chronology. Very cool backstory to the game. I will be voice acting through the entire Let's Play, so we'll see how that goes. An age of crisis begins. At the heart of the continent of Jugdral lies Grandvale, a kingdom founded by Saint Haim of the 12 Crusaders. Supporting the royal family, the heirs of Haim, are 6 noble houses, each also descended from a crusader of old. The 6 states, while still subservient to the royal family, each occupy vast swaths of Grandvale's land and maintain mighty militaries of their own. Owing to King Asmer's advanced age, the governance of Grandvale falls to his son, the highly respected Prince Kurth. Kurth has 2 trusted advisors in his rule, Lord Byron of House Chalfie and Lord Ring of House Jungby. Grandvale's Chancellor, Lord Reptor of Friege, has long objected to the threat to his influence posed by Kurth and his advisors, and has allied himself with the avaricious Lord Langbalt of House Dozel to form a faction opposed to Kurth's rule over Grandvale. The young Duke of House Velthamer, Lord Arvis, leads the Royal Guard in the King's care, and so has little time for the circus of politics. Only Father Claude of House Eda could foresee the oncoming storm. Into the midst of this tense situation comes dire news from Jugdral's east. Darna, a town in the Yeed Desert with deep ties to Grandvale, is now besieged by savage warriors from Isaac. Reports of a brutal massacre are abound. The news is met by the people of Grandvale with furious cries for retribution, and before long, the kingdom declares war on Isaac. Prince Kurth leads Grandvale's charge on his father's behalf, commanding the military might of the kingdom's 6 houses. At Kurth's side, as always, is none other than Lord Byron, a highly decorated hero of peerless valor in his own right. Grandvale has poured its entire military might into the Isaac campaign, and precious few soldiers remain behind with its neighbors. Augustria to the west, and Verdane to the south, bound in alliance with Grandvale. None dare to dream they could ever be threatened. It is not long at all, however, before the people's confidence is shattered. As if from nowhere, a vast horde from Verdane, led by Prince Gandalf, crosses the Grandvale border and lays siege to Jungby Castle. In Lord Ring's absence, his daughter, Lady Aideen, is Jungbi's only guardian. Lord Byron has entrusted the defense of Granvale in his absence to his son, Sigurd, who remains at Chalfie Castle with a mere handful of soldiers. A friend of Aideen since childhood, Sigurd is horrified to hear of Jungbi's siege, and even with so few soldiers is determined to protect Aideen and his fatherland from the savage Verdunite hordes. The year is 757 Grand Calendar, and thus the threshold of fate is cast open. Nobody could have known then that this simple disturbance was but the first of countless calamities to come. Dun. Prologue. It's a lot of red, dudes. Milady, the castle is completely surrounded. We've failed you. We couldn't do a thing to save you from them. It's all right, my dear. Every one of you did the best you could. Please, you needn't worry about me. You must ensure that as many of you survive as possible. No, milady. We might not stand a chance, but every last one of us will give our lives to protect you. Right to the very end. Thank you, my dear. I'm so sorry. Gandalf's army already has Jungbi surrounded. Aideen is in grave danger. Noish, I'm going to help her. I'm leaving Chalfie in your hands. Hold, my lord. Surely you don't intend to go alone. Nearly all of our forces are already on the march to Isaac with Father. There's hardly anybody left to call upon. They may be simple savages, but Verdaine's army is still huge. I can't risk your lives by forcing you to face them. Perish the thought, my lord. I was born a knight, and I will gladly risk dying a knight's death in your name. To allow our lord to die alone in battle would be an unspeakable disgrace. We shall be by your side every step of the way. Alec, I trust you're of the same mind? Yeah, of course. But there's more than just Jungbi at stake. We've got to stop by the nearby villages first. Those thugs will try to beat us to them. And they'll loot, massacre, and burn them all down if they do. We've got to get there first and lend the locals a hand in locking the villages down and fortifying their defenses. Absolutely, we mustn't neglect our knightly duties to the people. Especially not at a time like this. Good point, Alec. Actually, that was all Oifei's idea. That kid's every bit the tactician they say he is. Give him a few years and he'll be a match for his old grandpa, Lord Caesar. Oifei's still around the castle, huh? Oifei, I know you're here. You can come out now. My apologies for still being here, sire. Still, if you would allow it, I'd like to join in battle. I can't just sit back while you risk your lives. I don't know, you're still so young. Are you sure you're ready for this? I'm already 14, sire. I may not be battle ready just yet, but there's still so much I can do to support you. Please allow me to accompany you. I swear I won't let you down. Fair enough, Oifei. After all, you've already spent 2 years training as my squire. Real battlefield experience would be fantastic for your training. but you're still definitely not up to actual combat duty for now. How about you ride with me as my advisor instead? Yes, thank you, sire. Thank you. My lord, what of the defense of Chalfie itself in our absence? Leaving the castle unattended is risky. Should the enemy slip past us, an unguarded castle will fall easily and spell us a swift end. Noish, I'd say there's only one man who we can depend upon for that. Eh, Arden? Hold on a moment. Why me, Alec? Sturdy as a brick wall, strong as an ox, slow as a turtle. Face it, Arden. You were born for guard duty. Haha. Bah. I'm strong and tough, I know. But you really don't need to call me slow. He has a point, Arden. Would you? You're the most apt to guard duty. Fine, I'll do it. But you have to bring me along with you at least once. Right, man, it's time to set out. Let's start by assisting the villages, and then it's onward to Jungbi. Okay, so... let me start by going over our starting group of knights here. So first off, we have Sigurd. Sigurd is the main character of the game. He's very strong. His starting level is, his starting statistics are all very good. His growth rates are all very good. And he can use swords and lances. In this game, swords are actually much better than lances or axes, simply because they weigh so much less. So we can see on Sigurd, for example, the steel sword only has 3 weight, meaning his attack speed with it is 12 minus 3, which is 9. Whereas with the lance, that goes all the way down to 0. So his evasion is much higher with the steel sword. Now, if we go down here, we see Sigurd has the pursuit skill. This skill basically allows him to hit an enemy a second time, only if his speed is higher. So, when he does that with the sword, he'll attack twice against any enemy that has 9 speed or less, or 8 speed or less. With the lance, he can only double attack enemies with negative attack speed. Now let's talk about his holy blood. So he has Major Balder blood, which means he's descended from one of the Holy Crusaders, one of the ancient heroes of this game from a couple hundred years ago. And that gives him a star weapon rank in swords. So that means at some point he'll be able to wield a holy weapon. His class is Knight Lord, which is basically a promoted class. So when a unit reaches level 20, it can promote to a new class. Sigurd starts out promoted, so he doesn't really get a new class at level 20. But his awesome start and his growth and just how much you'll use him through your playthrough really compensates for that. However, in this playthrough, we are not going to be using him. So for this playthrough, to spice things up a bit for myself, I am not going to be using any characters with Major Holy Blood. So Sigurd, I'm sorry to say, but we're not going to be using you. Next we have Alec. We also have Noish here. But Alec is the Green Cavalier of our Christmas Cavalier duo. And, you know, as is common in the Fire Emblem franchise, he therefore specializes in speed. Cavaliers... So weapon ranks in this game are fixed and they can't change. So Alan has beam swords, which is pretty good. It'll let him use the steel sword and also some magic swords. And then when he promotes, he gets A rank as a paladin. Now he starts with Pursuit, which we already discussed, and Nihil. Nihil is a really cool skill. It basically means that any skill your opponent is using doesn't count for that round of combat against your unit. So, say Alec is battling someone with Pursuit who can double him, that won't happen because he has Nihil to negate it. Yeah. So my plan for Alec is to give him some good equipment and probably give him a magic sword at some point. So I hope to get him doing a lot of damage because he can double attack a lot in this game with his Pursuit skill. Then we have Noish. As you can see based on his stats, Noish is the Power Cavalier. So he has a pretty high starting strength stat. For skills, he has Critical. Critical is really, I like it a lot. It's basically the critical hit skill. It doubles his attack power when he is... Yeah, has a chance to double his attack power when his skill is high enough. So, his skill is 7, so he pretty much has a 7% chance to double his attack power. With the Accost skill, this skill kind of has some drawbacks, actually. Basically, it's a percentage chance based off of his speed stat to initiate a new round of combat. Now, a round of combat includes your attack and the enemy's attack. So, it can backfire against Noish if the enemy could kill him with his other attack. If Noish comes in with some chip damage and he ends up getting engaged in an extra round of combat, he doesn't kill the enemy, but the enemy manages to kill him, it could backfire in that way. Or just make him end up with less HP than you planned for when you were planning out your turn. So, I don't really like this skill, but whatever. We live with it. And now, the most important character, not really, kind of one of the funniest characters in this game, Arden. The game kind of, later on you'll see the game poke fun at him too, and just now in the opening scene, you saw how much the game was making fun of him. So yeah, he is not very good, and the game knows it. He's just here to protect the castle, basically. The worst thing about him is his 5 movement. Honestly, that's the biggest thing that makes him unusable. It's just like, if you look at these guys, look how far they're moving. And this map, it's a pretty big map, right? So, these units are all gonna, get across really fast. And then you have Arden. And look at this. This is really bad. Like, he's not mobile at all. He is not a mobile unit. And that really makes him unusable. His statistics are actually pretty decent. Like, I like his strength stat. I like his defense stat. Sure, his speed's not great, but it's given he uses swords, it's more than enough. And he has the Vantage skill, which is a pretty good skill. It allows him to, basically, he will always attack the enemy first. So if you have an enemy that's like on 1 HP, 2 HP, and he comes at Arden, Arden won't take any damage because he'll just knock that enemy out right away. Yeah, unfortunately he's just way too slow getting across the map to make use of him. But since we're not using Sigurd in this run, we will need all of our guys to help out. So that will be important. So I'm gonna attack with Alec first off, and the animations are on. Cut. I do like the animations in this game, but I also like the map animations, and I want to get through this somewhat quickly, so I'm going to turn them off. Turn text speed. Enemies will move fast, and we'll turn that off as well. Noish will go ahead and finish this guy off. And that's the first turn. Sigurd will go back into the castle. Sire, might I recommend stopping by the castle town once you're rested? To see you out unharmed should help to calm and reassure your citizens. And we'll wrap this up. You curs seriously haven't seized this puny castle yet? Useless the lot of you. Out of my way, I'll do it myself. Kehehe, you. Not bad for being here all on your lonesome, but I've had enough of your struggling. Crit! Milady! Forgive me. My dear, Well, looks like we have quite the gem here. And Jungbi's princess to boot. You're coming home with me, dearie. Listen up, DiMaggio. I'm heading back. You and Gerard are in charge. Yes, sir. Relax. Won't be long. And I'll be bringing Kingbase along for the fun. When I do, all Grandvale's our oyster. Even Valhalla ought to be easy pickings. What, with nobody around to stop us? The kingdom's all ours, boys! Leave it to us, sir. So, Gandalf? Oi, quit your dawdling. We don't have all day, you know. That guy, his name is Gandalf, by the way. And he's dragging that woman away. Cut the bridge! I'll have none of those Grandvale worms crossing over here. Yes, sir. Oi, Gerard! I'm going back to Martha for now. You're in charge of the border. Stay sharp, we clear? Yes, sir. But your lordship, who's that there dame you have? The spoils of war, my boy. She's coming back to Martha to marry me. What do you think? A real keeper, eh? I'll say she's just looking at her makes me mouth water. Back off, this one's mine. You'll have your pick of all Grandvale once we're done here. Keep it in your pants a little longer, yeah? What animals? Gods from above, I implore you, bestow upon these men a hint of human decency. Oi, what are you mumbling about? We're out of here, no dawdling, you hear? And he's dragging her away.
Get to work, boys. Our next stop is Chelsea. Don't forget to milk the villagers for all they've got.
Da 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 da. Dodge! This enemy phase theme is actually really cool. A lot of enemy phase themes in Fire Emblem I don't really enjoy. But this one's it has some nice drum beats in the background. And back to our oh, what's this? It looks like we made it in time, Lex. And by the look of it, Sigurd's staring down the entire Verdain army with just a handful of men. Bet he'll be glad for the help. But geez, Azel, I can't believe I let you drag me into yet another mess like this. With the war in Azak going on, there's hardly anyone left to defend Grandvale. Sigurd's few knights are all we have, and they're out here risking their lives on behalf of the entire country. I couldn't just leave them to die. Heh, we both know there's more to it than that. Come on, Azel, what's the real reason we're here? I have no idea what you mean. It's that Lady Dean of Jungby, isn't it? Come on, everyone knows you like her. You just came for her sake, didn't you? No, of course not, you dolt. Really? Then why's your face beat red? Looks like somebody's got a girlfriend. Lex, knock it off. Come on, we've wasted enough time. Haha, got it. Time to teach these Verdanite thugs a lesson or two. Indeed. So, we get two new guys. I'll go over Azel first. As you may have noticed, Azel, he's here pretending to want to help out in the conflict. But really, he's just here because he's attracted to Aideen. Azel's a mage. Mages are pretty good because they attack against magic, and as you can see, most of these guys have very low resistance. So this guy had 0. Fire magic is the worst magic type in the game. But, you will use it against thunder magic, maybe for the weapon effectiveness. Or against wind magic, that is. Yeah, he can go ahead and talk to Sigurd. Has Pursuit, which is really nice, because he does a lot of damage as a magic user. Later on, so magic has is the highest weighting tome. So later on, we'll get wind tomes and thunder tomes that we can use. So his speed will go up a lot. Able to double attack quite often. He does have minor holy Vala blood, but not major blood. which means we're allowed to use him for this Let's Play. And then we have Lex. I like Lex a lot because he's very defensive. In general, like, that's something I like. I like defensive units with high HP. Just me personally, like, that's what I like. He also has Vantage, which is the same skill Arden had, so he always attacks first, even when attacked by enemies. And he has Paragon. Paragon is really good because it basically means he gets experience twice as fast, so he levels up twice as fast and becomes much better, much faster. So for that reason alone, I think he's a pretty good unit. As you can see, he has -6 evasion, and that's because axes are so heavy, so it's 18 minus 11, so he has like -7 attack speed. Which is not very good, but since he doesn't have the pursuit skill, it doesn't matter all that much. You don't really need speed on Lex. And he has a horse, which is always good. He has Minor Near Blood, which allows him to use A-rank axes. He'll never be able to use the Holy Weapon, Axe Weapon, but A-rank axes should be just fine. So we're gonna start by setting this guy afire. Burn! Burn! And then I think I might as well visit this village. Pay attention, kids. Weapons aren't created equal. You see, swords best axes, axes best lances, and lances best swords. This right here is why you've got to use your head before you blunder into battle. Speaking of battle, if you ever find yourself hurting out there, a chapel is the best place to go. It ain't free, mind. Every bit of health you regain, they'll cost you 5 gold pieces. But you can't put a price on your health. I completely forgot I cannot move again after visiting villages. Oh well. I guess I just was super excited about doing an old man voice. One of the awesome things of doing a Let's Play is, I get to do my old man voice, and yeah, that's really fun. That's what, yeah. Making old man voices is a lot of fun. So whack this guy with Alec. I'm gonna take him out and visit the village with Alec, and then I'll use Noish to finish off this guy. So Noish remains at full HP. And in the town, we are gonna go to the, visit the town. The pawnbroker. We don't need the steel sword because Sigurd is benched. I'll be giving that to someone else. Enemy phase. So it looks like I was wrong about Vantage. Seems they're hitting second. So I'm actually starting to think Vantage is it's one of those skills that's a percentage chance to activate in this game. What's this? Good, we aren't too late. I pray Sigurd is still unhurt. I'm sure my brother's doing just fine out here. But it won't be easy without a magic user in his ranks. I want to do all I can as a healer to help out and save lives. Quan, I'm sorry I dragged you into this mess as well. I know Chalfie isn't my family anymore, now that we're married. But I couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Thank you so much for coming. Not just from me, but from Sigurd. Aw. There's no need for thanks, Ethlin. Sigurd is every bit as important to me as he is to you, remember? He is my brother-in-law now, after all, and I couldn't possibly leave you two fight all alone. Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. My lord, my lady, we should hurry. Lord Sigurd awaits us on the battlefield just ahead. And we get a couple new characters. Ah, that's funny. Aha. So, Sigurd took Quan's spot. So Quan had to spawn here instead of here, where he usually spawns. Anyway. These guys are such an adorable couple. But let me start by talking about Quan. Quan has very high base stats, especially in strength. So he hits really hard. Lances are pretty mighty weapons. And he's a Duke Knight, which is a promoted class. So Quan is basically another Sigurd. So I guess they thought just, having one really overpowered unit on a horse at the very beginning of the game wasn't enough. So they decided to throw Quan in as well. And as you can see, Quan has major Holy Nova blood. That means he can use every lance under the sun. Well, except the other Holy Lance. Basically every lance under the sun except one. And he also has an Adept skill. This is basically a skill that has a percentage chance to activate based off of your speed. I believe it's off of your base speed, not your attack speed, so Quan's chance to activate it would be 10%. And basically it allows you to hit twice instead of once in a single attack. It's kind of like a brave weapon. 10% of the time, whatever weapon he's using is a brave weapon. That's how I like to think of it. Nothing to base your strategy around. And then you have his wife, Ethlin, Sigurd's sister. She is a healer on a horse. And in my opinion, there's no such a thing as a healer on a horse who is a bad unit in Fire Emblem. Especially in this game, because she can run in, heal units, retreat back to safety. So she's also very durable thanks to her mobility of having a mount. She has the critical skill, but honestly, you won't be using that much. Most of her turns are spent healing, and she does have minor Balder blood, which means she'll be able to use some good weaponry. In fact, I wonder if I can go ahead and throw Sigurd's silver sword onto her. That would be funny. And then we get Finn. Finn is a bread and butter knight of the Fire Emblem series, you know? One of those dedicated, just a dedicated common soldier. Has the pursuit skill, and also the miracle skill. Basically, how that works is, when his HP is low, his evasion goes up. I personally don't really like this skill because to take advantage of it, you have to be low on HP, and I don't like keeping my units low on HP. I like having my units high on HP. In terms of stats, he's all around good. Not really like a strength or speed specialist. He's just good all around. He's a lance user, which hurts him for this part of the game, but will be fine later on. And he's a lance knight, which means he's the same class that Quan is. Quan is a badass class, by the way. Duke Knight. Like, they don't make Fire Emblem classes as badass as this anymore. So, Finn will promote into what Quan is. Alright. So, because Quan, I should say. Quan and Finn makes the word Quinn, which is also a pretty cool name. This guy. So I think finishing off this this bandit here is the obvious move. And I am going to visit the village.
Oh, thank the gods! We're saved! We can't thank you enough.
Here, the whole village did their bit to raise some money for you.
It's not much, but we hope it helps out there. Be sure to lend the other villages a hand, too. I bet they'll be happy to help you out right back.
Yay. So, I actually kind of have to kill this guy with Azel. Because otherwise, Azel might be in position where he is vulnerable to the Verdunite thugs. Now, so Lex takes 10 damage from this guy, and 9 damage, so they won't kill him, but they could bring him low, so I'm gonna put him there. Follow the old man's advice. Can he kill this guy? Nope. Arden's gonna do some chip damage. Very sturdy Arden. And we're gonna finish this guy off with Noish. This Verdunite savage. It's really interesting how all of our characters from Grandvale have been referring to the Verdane people as, you know, thugs, Verdunite thugs, Verdunite savages. Like, you can tell that despite their alliance, the people of Grandvale, even like the noblest of them, like Sigurd, they don't think too highly of the folks in Verdain, which makes you a little more sympathetic. Makes me a little more sympathetic to the Verdain people. Because here they are, they're being looked down upon by this more advanced civilization. But now it's their chance to step up and, you know, unfortunately, their army is just a bunch of dudes equipped with axes, so pretty easy to beat. Ah, there we go. So that was Vantage activating. Kind of do feel awkward about having Lex visit that village, because he's also going to be able to grab another one, but we'll be fine. Get some healing in. Alright, folks. I think we are going to make a cut here. So thank you for joining me for this Let's Play. I will see you guys in episode 2. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe.